Okay, we're covering a lot of terms, but here's a couple more terms that we want to look at. So we have an expiration date, right? We already mentioned the expiration date, and we already mentioned the premium. So we covered those terms. The premium is what you pay for the contract, and the expiration date is when the contract is no longer valid. So those two things now go into this term. This is called time value. So the longer time you have until expiration, the more expensive the premium is going to be. So essentially, the time value is you're paying for more time. So it seems pretty simple. Let's go over a quick example though. So if the stock is trading at $58.35, if we buy a $60 strike, which by the way expires in 23 days, let's say, it might cost 60 cents. But if you buy that same $60 strike, again, strike price is the price at which your stock would execute at, and it expires in 51 days instead of 23 days, that costs $1.25. So there's now 65 cents of premium built in just to go out 51 days versus 23 days. So it's the same strike, but you add potential essentially to the upside simply because they're giving you more time. So let's summarize the terms we just covered just quickly before we move on to how options actually work. So we talked about the premium, which is the price of the options contract. We talked about the expiration date, which is when the contract is no longer valid, when it's done. Time value, which is the amount of price that you pay to buy an expiration date that might be further out. So the higher the premium, the longer out it should be. You're paying for that time value. And then finally, volume and open interest. So how much open interest is in your options contract, or how much volume is actually being traded on the options contract. So now that we've defined some of the fundamental terms that you'll hear me talk about throughout this course, let's move on in the next module to actually how calls and puts work.